So why is now still a really, really good time to build? We've heard some talk about lumber pricing. We've heard talked about other pricing in other areas as well. But why is it still a really, really good time to build? So I have Sam Yoder here today.
Yep, I'm Sam Yoder. I'm a licensed realtor and licensed mortgage lender.
So Sam gets to talk a little bit about the market with us today, and as well as the lending side of things, and how right now we have very low interest rates, but that may not continue. So he's going to talk about a little bit of those things today, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the construction side too, and how we've seen some increases in lumber pricing as well. So let's talk a little bit about interest rates, which is kind of crazy right now.
They are crazy low.
Yeah.
So historically, you can see this is a great chart. Basically, how they've dropped so rapidly over time. Rates for the last decade have been really, really good. Right now, I mean, you probably heard this on the news. A lot of people have refinanced their homes. Rates are as low as they ever have been. The national average rate as of today is 3%. A lot of lenders around here can get you 2.875, and that's on a 30-year loan. So if you're doing a 15, it's even lower than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly insane, I would say. And I mean, even just look at this graph. Like, I mean, literally the lowest it's ever been.
Yep.
And we see some spikes and some downs, and and that very well could happen here in the next year or two. Is we could see a dramatic increase.
Oh, and that's why we want to talk about too. Why you want to take advantage of the rate environment we have today, and why waiting might not be a good decision. And because the power of what your rate can get you today for a new construction home versus what it could do for you if it goes up 1%, it's a big difference. So we'll kind of walk through that.
Yeah, we'll walk through that example in a sec. But another thing to point out too is that we do see rising prices in the market in general. But overall, Des Moines, it shows a 17%. Cheaper cost of living or housing compared to the rest of the market. So Des Moines is still relatively low as far as the cost of housing compared to the rest of the market. So we have a lot to go to increase that, and not that we necessarily want to increase that because it brings more people to Des Moines. But I think that knowing that, it's still a really, really good city and a place to invest your money because you have a low cost of living relative to other places. Yeah, I mean, which is really nice to know.
When you compare to the rest of the nation, like you said, 17% lower cost of housing in Des Moines, and that's with current prices, and that's amazing. That's why you have people that want to move here.
Yeah, and not only that, they project in this year alone, which last year to this year is 8% increasing in housing value. Mainly, I would say a little bit more for resale, but also with new construction as well. But if let's say they're at 10% increase in housing right now.
That's a prediction.
If you have a house right now is one of the best times to actually sell it.
There's never been a better time.
Yeah. So true. And there's many reasons for that too. But we just discussed, there's 300 homes or 311 homes on the market that are resale homes
as of today.
So if you have a house, there's no houses on the market. No. So a resale, because the cost of resales are actually less than new construction, they will be more inflated than new construction. Because there is nothing on the market to sell. So think about that as you're making these decisions on if you want to remodel, you want to stay with your existing home, or if you want to build new. There's a lot of reasons that you should be building new if you don't like your current home or if it's not in the right location that you want to live in.
Yeah, and I'll speak to even if you're a buyer right now and you are looking to buy a property, you're not sure new construction or resale, and you have a realtor, you don't, you've looked around, it is hard to find something to buy, which is why new construction is also a great option. You don't have all the competition to buy it. You don't have to do multiple offers. You lock it in with your builder, and you go from there. Yeah,
that's some of the smaller things that people don't realize when they're trying to find a house is that, if you build new, you have nobody, no bidding wars. You have no really competition. You find your builder, whoever you want to work with, your designer and builder, and your realtor, and then you figure out where you want to live, and you pick a lot, and then you get to build whatever you want. So there's definitely some benefits to new construction. We do both remodeling and new construction, so we like both. But it's still a really, really good time to do new construction. As people may talk about lumber pricing and some other things, it's still a good time because interest rates, and we'll go into that in a second.
Absolutely.
But let's talk a little bit about lumber pricing and the cost of materials rising. So we do have a graph here that really does do a pretty good indication of lumber pricing. And you see in 2018, we actually had quite a bit of a rise as well. So if you compare 2018, we're 1.5, 1.75 times. Since the beginning of about a year ago, we are a little over 2 times in lumber pricing, which obviously that's scary, right? It's 2 times. That's a big increase. But the other thing I'll say about that is that overall in the cost of your home, that these are stats from National Association of Home Builders, is you're about 18% And even with the price rising, on an average home build, which is NHB says it's about $500,000, you're $36,000 high right now just because of lumber.
Yep.
So, there's a downside to that, right? $36,000, that's a lot of money.
Just costs a little bit more.
But if we talk about interest rates right now and the rate at which things are increasing in like home value, there's actually a lot of good reason to still build.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's walk through that example.
Yeah. So what do you want to do? Like a $500,000 build.
Okay.
Do the national average. So 500,000.
Okay.
And let's say we're just going to put 10% down right now, right?
Okay.
So 10%, so $450,000 loan size. And the reason 10%, you can put 20% down, you can put 5% down. There's lots of options out there. But with rates being as low as they are at 3%, I mean, anything more than 10%, I mean, you can probably go make a lot more money on your money.
Yep.
Doing something else.
Doing
something else. So if you're doing this loan size, your principal and interest payment on this is going to be approximately, I think I have it at, it's $1,800 and, well, let's do today's rate. Let's do 3%.
Yep.
It's going to be $1,897.
Okay.
$1,890. Yep.
$1,897.
$1,897. Okay. That's your principal and interest payment.
Per month. Okay.
Per month, correct. Okay. If you do a $450,000 loan.
Okay.
Let's just stick with national averages. Now, over the life of this loan, this is going to cost you about $237,000 in interest total.
Okay.
Big number, but that's for 30 years.
30 years.
That's if you're there for a full 30 years, right?
Okay.
Now, let's just see. So that's your purchasing power, $1,897. Now, let's just see if rates go up just 1%.
Okay. So we'll say 4%.
So same exact scenario. Yep, we'll say 4% rate,
Okay.
$450,000 loan size. But instead of paying $1,897 a month, your payment is now $2,150.
$2,150.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a $253 increase in your monthly payment. That's a
$253
increase.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Perfect. That's a big jump. I mean, that's a car payment. That can be lots of different things. That's a lot of money jumping. So that's why taking advantage of the rate today is such an advantage. Now, the crazy part, over the life of this loan, you're going to spend $90,000 more on interest, about $323,000 on interest over the life of this loan at 4%. So it's going to cost you $90,000. It's going to cost you $253 a month more and $90,000 of interest more over the life of your loan.
So when we compare that to, let's say, lumber pricing, and let's say in National Association of Home Builders is correct, right?
Yep.
They're saying $36,000 increase because of lumber. We've actually seen a lot of that not actually be completely true, but let's say that's the worst case scenario.
Let's go with their numbers.
They're also trying to pitch that to the government to try to make sure that
Right.
they can get lumber prices and tariffs down. But let's say it's $36,000, and so in comparison to $90,000, like your interest rate over 30 years, that makes a big impact. Is your almost 3 times a cost difference between interest rates and lumber pricing. And then not only that, our housing is increasing in equity. So like if it truly is increasing 10% each year, you build your house, and if it is increasing 10% per year, you just built $50,000 every year.
Yep, and even if it's slower than, let's say it goes down to like more historical averages, like 5 or 6% average increase per year, that's still over a few years' time.
Yeah, and
it make up for the price of the build.
Yeah, in 1 year, you're almost there as far as offsetting that cost of lumber.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's still a really great time. You have so many things going for you as far as the Des Moines market, increases in equity or prices of homes.
Yep.
Which sounds bad when you're purchasing a home, but like knowing that it's going up and up and up at a really good rate, that's a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's a great point too. Let's talk about that. Like, it's not a great time to wait to do something. It never really pays to wait to build.
Yeah.
And here's why. If you look at the average since 2011 home prices, they've steadily increased. They've barely even flatlined. So they're continuing to rise. So if you would have built a home in 2018, this is at $385,000 is the average on this one. These prices today, they're 10% higher as of right now on buildings, right now, from 2018. That's a 10% increase. So that same property is up 10%. This now property is over $400,000. So we're going to continue to see this to rise. So if you would have thought about building a year or two ago, you would have built for less money than you would today. So if you wait another year, and rates are lower now.
Rates. I think that there's nothing to be more to be said about this. Is that rates are so low and they make such a big impact over time.
Yep.
It's that power of compounding interest, and it makes a big difference over time. So again, if we keep increasing in home values and we increase in rates, you're getting hit in two different ways when you want to purchase a house in the future. So now if interest rates are low, you're not being hit with a higher interest rate. You're being hit with a low interest rate. So at least capitalize on the interest rate. Even if you think homes are a little high right now, at least you can capitalize on one thing.
Yeah.
But in the future, if it does increase,
it's going to lower your purchasing power.
Yeah, it's hard to say that there's going to be a better time than now, even with the higher increasing cost of some materials.
Yep.
So, and again, relatively speaking, 18% of the build is not like it's. Interior finishes are 29%.
Right.
So
your selections make more of an impact on your price than lumber does.
So if we were talking about like cabinetry, countertops, everything was going up 2 times, it would be a whole different ballgame we're talking about. But 18% is relatively minor in comparison to the cost of the build. So overall, in recap, what are we going to recap?
In recap, I would say take advantage of the interest rates while you can. Your purchasing power is so much higher now than if they go up a percentage point. And they are predicted to continue, they're going to rise at some point. We can't sustain these low levels of interest rates. So take advantage of them while we can. They've never been lower.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about new construction home, I know we didn't talk about the design, but we also do the design as well. So anything about new construction, you need a realtor. Sam's a great resource for a realtor, and he does a lending as well.
Yep, so you need the financing or anything.
You get both with Sam, which is pretty great and really, really nice for clients. We like to say, we give clients both the design and the construction, and Sam gives clients the lending and the realtor side. So it's a great combination with less people to deal with. Call either Sam or myself and get started with your new home today. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.